In a world where division casts long shadows, where the cries of the forgotten are drowned out by the noise of conflict and indifference, one voice rises with clarity and hope. On May 8, 2025, the Vatican welcomed a new leader, Pope Leo XIV, the first American pope, a man whose life is a testament to compassion, justice, and unwavering commitment to the marginalized. This is the story of Robert Francis Prevost, a missionary who walked among the poor, a dreamer who believed in a better world, a voice for those who have none. His journey will move you, challenge you, and inspire you to see the world through the eyes of those who need us most. Join us as we trace the path of a man who has dedicated his life to lifting up the voiceless. This is a story you won't want to miss, a story that will stay with you long after the screen fades to black. Robert Francis Prevost was born in 1955 in Chicago, a city of contrasts, where towering skyscrapers cast shadows over modest neighborhoods, where dreams of progress met the realities of struggle. Raised in a multicultural family with a French-Italian father and a Spanish mother, Robert grew up surrounded by stories of resilience and faith. His father, a factory worker, spoke of hard-earned dignity, while his mother, a seamstress, wove tales of her Spanish heritage, filled with devotion and community. Together, they instilled in young Robert a deep sense of service, a belief that true strength lies in helping those who have been overlooked by the world. From his earliest years, Robert felt a calling, not to wealth or fame, but to the margins, to the places where hope was scarce but needed most. As a boy, he volunteered at local soup kitchens, his small hands passing out bread to those in need, his heart stirred by their stories. He saw the faces of the poor not as strangers, but as neighbors, each with a name, a dream, a story worth hearing. This early lesson in empathy would shape the man he would become, a man whose life would be defined by his commitment to giving a voice to those silenced by circumstance. At the age of 24, Robert joined the Augustinian order, drawn to their mission of service and community. His calling led him far from the familiar streets of Chicago to the rugged highlands of Peru, where he arrived as a young priest in the late 1970s. For over 2 decades he lived among some of the poorest communities in the world, sharing their simple meals, walking their dusty paths, and listening to their hopes and fears. In the villages of the Andes, where poverty was a daily reality, Robert didn't just preach the gospel, he lived it. He sat with families in their humble homes, laughed with children playing in the dirt, and prayed with elders under starlit skies. In Peru, Robert learned that true compassion goes beyond words. It requires action, presence, and a willingness to stand with those who have no one else. He built schools to give children a chance at education, dug wells to bring clean water to remote villages, and advocated for the rights of indigenous communities whose voices were often ignored. He wasn't there to save them. He was there to walk beside them, to be their brother, their friend, their advocate. His work was not about charity in the abstract. It was about justice, about ensuring that every person was seen, heard, and valued. Robert's time in Peru was more than a mission. It was a transformation. He saw poverty not as a statistic, but as a human reality, with faces, names, and dreams. He met mothers who walked miles for water, children who dreamed of becoming teachers, and elders who carried the wisdom of generations. Each encounter deepened his resolve to be a voice for those society had forgotten. He learned that to speak for the voiceless, you must first live among them, share their burdens, and carry their stories in your heart. These lessons, forged in the crucible of Peru's highlands, would guide him for decades to come, shaping the man who would one day stand before the world as Pope Leo XIV. The years in Peru were not without challenges. Robert faced moments of doubt, moments when the weight of poverty and injustice seemed too heavy to bear. Yet he found strength in the resilience of the people he served, their laughter, their faith, their unyielding hope. They taught him that, even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found, and that light comes from community, from standing together, from refusing to let anyone be forgotten. This was the foundation of his calling, the heartbeat of his mission, and it would carry him to a destiny he never could have imagined. Section 2. The Call to Leadership, 5:30:10. On May 8, 2025, the world held its breath as white smoke curled into the sky above the Vatican. A new pope had been chosen, and the announcement sent ripples of anticipation across the globe. When Robert Francis Prevost stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica as Pope Leo XIV, the crowd erupted in a wave of joy, hope, and expectation. Here was a man who had walked the dirt roads of Peru, who had lived among the poor, who carried their stories in his heart. His election was not just a moment for the Catholic Church, it was a moment for the world, a signal that a new kind of leadership had arrived. The choice of the name Leo XIV was no accident. Robert looked to Pope Leo XIII, who, in the late 19th century, issued the groundbreaking encyclical Rerum Novarum, defending the rights of workers in an era of industrial exploitation. Like his namesake, Leo XIV signaled his intention to be a voice for the marginalized, to challenge systems that exclude, and to build a church that welcomes all. His first words from the balcony, "Peace be with you all," were more than a greeting. They were a promise, a commitment to a papacy rooted in justice, compassion, and unity. Leo XIV's election was historic for many reasons. As the first American pope, he brought a fresh perspective to the Vatican, shaped by the diversity and dynamism of the United States. His multicultural heritage, French-Italian on his father's side, Spanish on his mother's, made him a bridge between cultures, a leader who could speak to the world in its many languages. Fluent in Spanish, English, and Italian, he connected with people in their own words, making the papacy feel closer, more human, more accessible. But it was his decades in Peru that truly defined him. Those years among the poor gave him a profound understanding of the world's pain, and they fueled his determination to lead not from a throne, but from the heart. From the moment he took office, Leo XIV made it clear he would not be confined to the marble halls of the Vatican. He would go to the people, especially those who needed him most. In his first weeks, he visited shelters, met with refugees, and spoke out against the forces that perpetuate poverty and division. His actions were a bold statement. The Church must be a force for good in the world, a voice for those who have been silenced by war, inequality, or neglect. His papacy was not about preserving tradition for its own sake, but about making tradition a living force for change. Leo XIV's leadership style is marked by humility and authenticity. He doesn't just speak about compassion, he embodies it. He listens to the stories of those he meets, from world leaders to street vendors, with the same attentiveness he showed in Peru. His election was a beacon of hope for millions who saw in him a leader who understands their struggles, who sees their dignity, who believes in their potential. His mission is clear: to amplify the voices of the unheard, to shine a light on those in the shadows, and to build a world where every person is valued. In a world where millions are displaced by conflict, where poverty silences entire communities, and where inequality casts long shadows over the vulnerable, Pope Leo XIV has made it his mission to be a voice for the voiceless. From his first days as Pope, he has spoken out for those who are often ignored: migrants fleeing violence, families trapped in poverty, children robbed of opportunity. His message is simple yet profound. No one should be invisible. No one should be forgotten. No one should be left behind. Drawing on his decades in Peru, Leo XIV understands the human cost of injustice. He has seen mothers walk miles for a bucket of water, children dream of education despite empty classrooms, and communities fight for their rights against powerful interests. These experiences have shaped his papacy, giving him a clarity of purpose that resonates across the globe. He has called on nations to open their hearts and their borders to migrants seeking safety and dignity. He has challenged world leaders to rethink economies that prioritize profit over people, echoing the teachings of Leo XIII's Rerum Novarum, which called for justice and fairness in a rapidly changing world. Leo XIV's advocacy is not limited to grand speeches or official statements. He brings his message to life through actions, visiting refugee camps, serving meals at shelters, sitting with families who have lost everything to war or disaster. His white cassock, a symbol of his office, stands out in the humblest settings, a reminder that the Church's mission is to be with the people, not above them. He has spoken out against the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, calling for peace and urging the world to remember the human toll of war. His words carry the weight of someone who has seen suffering up close, who knows that peace is not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. But Leo XIV's heart beats strongest for the youth, whom he calls the heartbeat of the future. He knows that young people today face challenges unlike any before: social media pressures, economic uncertainty, a world that often feels fractured and hopeless. He urges them to reject cynicism, to embrace courage, to seek purpose over fleeting trends. He challenges them to be authentic, to live lives that reflect their deepest values, to be role models for their peers. His words resonate because they come from a place of genuine care, from a leader who sees the potential in every young person to change the world. One of Leo XIV's most powerful qualities is his ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Whether he's meeting with world leaders or kicking a soccer ball with children in a refugee camp, he brings a warmth and authenticity that transcends borders. His encounter with Yannick Sinner, the Italian tennis star, was a moment that captured the world's attention. A pope and an athlete laughing together, sharing a moment of joy. It was a reminder that faith and purpose can unite even the most unlikely pairs, that the Church can be a place where everyone is welcome. Every gesture, every word from Leo XIV reflects his belief that the Church must be a beacon of hope for the marginalized. He has called for a revolution of tenderness, a movement where love, compassion, and justice triumph over indifference. He asks us to see the dignity in every person, whether they are a migrant seeking a new home, a child dreaming of a better future, or a worker struggling to survive. His papacy is a call to action, a challenge to build a world where no one is left in the shadows. Pope Leo XIV is no ordinary pope. He's a polyglot who speaks Spanish, English, and Italian with ease, connecting with people in their own languages. He's a baseball fan who once dreamed of playing for the Chicago Cubs, a nod to his Chicago roots. And yes, he's a pope who plays online games with his brother in Chicago, laughing over headsets in moments that remind us he is, above all, human. These quirks make him relatable, a leader who doesn't hide behind the grandeur of his office, but embraces the joys and struggles of everyday life. His multicultural background, French-Italian, Spanish, American, gives him a unique perspective in a globalized world. He understands the beauty of diversity, the strength that comes from embracing different cultures and traditions. His years in Peru taught him to listen to voices that are often ignored, to see the world through the eyes of those on the margins. This global outlook makes him a leader for our time, someone who can speak to Catholics and non-Catholics alike, to anyone who believes in justice, compassion, and unity. Pause for testimony. Father Miguel, priest, 16 Kikuru, 1630. Leo XIV's modernity goes beyond his personal quirks. It's in his vision for the Church, a vision that embraces technology, engages with the young, and reaches out to those far from the Vatican's walls. He has used social media to share his message, posting words of hope and challenge to millions around the world. His tweets, like "Build bridges, not walls," peace for all, have sparked conversations among people of all ages and backgrounds. He has called the Church a field hospital, a place that heals the wounds of a broken world, whether those wounds are caused by poverty, war, or despair. His ability to blend tradition with modernity has made him a figure of hope for millions. He speaks to the young with a language they understand, urging them to be courageous, to live authentically, to make a difference. He speaks to the world with a message that transcends religion, calling for a global community built on love and justice. His papacy is a reminder that faith can be vibrant, relevant, and deeply human, a force that unites rather than divides. Pope Leo XIV's message is a clarion call. We are all called to be voices for the voiceless. Whether it's helping a neighbor in need, welcoming a stranger, or standing up for justice, every act of compassion matters. His life, from the streets of Chicago to the villages of Peru to the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, shows us that one person can make a difference, that one voice can change the world. He challenges us to look around, to see those who are invisible, to hear those who are silenced. In a world that often feels divided by politics, wealth, or ideology, he calls for a revolution of tenderness, a movement where love and justice triumph over indifference. He asks us to be builders of bridges, to create communities where every person is valued, where no one is left behind. Will you answer his call? This is your moment. Share a meal with someone who is hungry. Listen to someone who feels unheard. Stand up for what is right, even when it's hard. Pope Leo XIV shows us that change begins with small acts, with moments of courage and kindness that ripple outward, transforming lives and communities. His life is a testament to the power of one person's commitment to justice, to the idea that we can all be voices for those who need us most. Leo XIV's papacy is not just a story. It's an invitation. It's a call to be a light in the darkness, to be a voice for the voiceless, to build a world where no one is forgotten. It's a challenge to live with purpose, to act with love, to make a difference in whatever way you can. Together, we can create a future where every person is seen, every voice is heard, and every life is valued. Pope Leo XIV is more than a pope. He's a reminder of what we can achieve when we listen, act, and love. His life is a beacon of hope, a call to action, a challenge to be better. Join the movement. Be a voice for the voiceless. Share your story, and together, let's build a world where everyone belongs.